Hi, I'm Kitrick Nielsen. I mess with building and sailing little wooden boats. This is a cruising dinghy for two I'm working on. I'm calling it the Bed Bug. In this video, a second in a series on the build of this boat, we'll attach a floor, a deck, frames, and a sole. I'll talk about boat building advice I got from a exotic dancer and how failing to take that advice ended up causing some problems in this part of the build. In the previous video, I mentioned how this part was going to be easy.
Should be easy.
And by the end, we'll find out just how easy this part was. I started with cutting and temporarily fastening the deck and the floor to the strong back. Because all the frames on this boat attach to a deck or floor, I just fasten the deck and the floor to the strong back and then temporarily fasten all the frames right to it. They'll stay like that until it's done planking, and then I'll flip the boat right side up and take the deck and the floor back out and then fasten them permanently with adhesive. Next, the frames get prepped to go on. The plans call for a 2-degree bevel on these, but I just knock them down flat and put them a little bit past square. Sometimes in boat building, you can just get close enough. But close enough doesn't mean you can be careless. When I built my first boat, my wife and I were friends with this woman who lived across the street. Elizabeth, we'll call her, this middle-aged former Las Vegas dancer. She'd come over when my wife was at work and just roll around in the driveway and play with my dog. One of these days she came over with more to say than what would ever be contained in a bra. And she gave me some unsolicited advice about building boats. She said, "Remember, always measure twice, cut once." You know, just kind of talking to hear herself talk. And I was, at the time, I was too proud to take boat building advice from a middle-aged former stripper who still dabbled in crystal meth. And so I just kind of blew off what she had to say. But today, making my bed bug dinghy, ignoring Elizabeth's advice came back to bite me, as I measured this frame wrong and had to fix it by reattaching a cleat an extra 1/4 inch proud. This one was an easy fix, but Elizabeth's curse strikes again on station 6. This one was too far gone, and so I had to go back and find how to fit it on that on the panel that was about to have the sole cut out on it. With Station 6 fixed and my sole glued up, I can get that sole on the frames and make sure everything fits right and keep my busty neighbor's curse at bay. Dodged her this time. Everything lines up good. This next mistake is just me being dumb. 15 feet of chine log gets glued onto this sole and it takes every clamp I have. I clamped the sole to the frame to allow me to press it in place with my hip, and I didn't realize at the time, but clamp after clamp is just adding weight to this. The weight is already off-centered as all this is balancing on this narrow strong back. It takes a second or two of me walking away for the whole thing to come crashing down. You probably won't find it hard to believe that I've made mistakes like this before. I've never had a boat fall straight off the strong back though. An advantage of making airheaded mistakes like this is that you learn an important lesson early that if you kind of keep an eye on things, that would assume I was keeping an eye on things. That if you at least catch your mistakes before they become a bigger issue, just about anything can be fixed. I drew out frame dimensions on paper so that they would go back into their original place, and I reattached those broken frames with just gobs of PL premium, and in the end I think they turned out a little bit stronger than they were before. I'm gonna have to come back here and reinforce this when it gets to planking, but I'll worry about that when I get there. Limber holes get cut out of the corners of these frames to make room for that chine log, and everywhere except for the center two bulkheads, because those are going to seal, you want that fit to be pretty good, but everywhere else you want to leave space for water to flow through so it's easier to clean up. A bevel on the frames to receive the sole. Redraw center lines on the frames and line up a spot for a pilot hole. The idea is that a matching pilot hole on the sole and on the frames should allow one screw to line it all up at each station. It should pull any out of place frames into their correct spot. This is one of those ideas that sounds good in theory, but then you go to implement it and just 100 problems pop up. But to my surprise, it actually worked, and it worked well. To glue the sole down, I started at those midships bulkheads that are secured vertically on the strong back, and I worked my way outwards from there. I might have made it easier if I had come in from the bottom and loosened up screws that attach these frames to the deck and floor and then tightened them before that PL premium cured, but I think it turned out good this way. for now, it's all done. I mean, this step, I know it sounds bold to say, but I think I think it actually was relatively easy. I think my prediction that using exact dimensions from CAD drawings would make it go pretty smooth, and I know that at one point my whole boat was tipped over and fallen on the floor broken, but I think it actually went pretty well. Next, I'm gonna plank it, and I'm already getting an issue with some twist right here. I'm gonna get my transom attached. I'm gonna finish up my what is that, Station 1 frame with a tabernacle. Get that attached, plank it all up, flip it over. We'll see. I got a couple of boat builds on my channel. Got a little like dinghy cruising yawl for two that goes in the back of my pickup that I did the build on there, and you can follow along for free. I've got the dory that I built that also you can sleep on board with the plans included for free. Of course, those builds had their own problems, but I was able to work through them, and those boats turned out good. I love them. And if somebody wanted to try to learn from my mistakes and try to make one a little bit better than I did, feel free to use my plans. Yeah, that's it. Building, maintaining, sailing, taking them out to the lake. Working with little wooden boats like this is a ton of work, but man, it's just magic when you get one out on the water. Thanks for watching.